now called to order at 6:06 p.m. This hearing is to be held as required by the provisions of Chapter 131, Section 40 of the General Laws of the Commonwealth, an act relative to the protection of the wetlands and most recently amended. Notice at this time and place of this hearing was originally published in the Fairhaven Neighborhood News on September 5th and October 4th of 2024. It was also posted in the town clerk's office. Persons wishing to be heard will be called in the following order. This meeting is also videoed and recorded. First thing, I'd like to entertain a motion to open this public hearing.
I'll make a motion.
Do I get a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, first thing, we have no minutes. Any meeting mail, Mark?
No.
Okay, any old business? All right. So, continued public hearing, NOI and Stormwater, White's Farm Incorporated, 211 Middle Road, maps 23, lot 29, 29A, and 29B, SE 0010596. A notice of intent and stormwater application was filed by Zachary Farks, Middle Road, Acushnet Solar, LLC, for a property located at 211 Middle Road, maps 23, lots 29, 29A, and 29B. The applicant proposes to construct a ground-mounted solar array on a portion of the open fields within the property located at 211 Middle Road in Acushnet. Work is limited to the 100-foot buffer zone to the bordering vegetated wetlands and bank. The applicant is represented by Sarah Stearns of Bales and Thomas Incorporated. Plan name is Middle Road PV Solar Development, dated September 10, 2024. Reviews of this matter may be presented, votes may be taken. Due to the Mullen rule, Rebecca Sojak is not eligible to vote. They actually put in for a continuing. So with that, I'd like to entertain a motion to continue this to the next meeting, and the date would be
April 23rd.
to April 23rd, 2024. So I have 2025.
So moved.
Do I get a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Okay, new business. Lake Street, New Bedford Reservoir, Lakes 1, 2, and 4, Lot 3, Lot 13, Map 4, Lot 49, and Map 19, Lot 32, SE 0010595. A notice of intent was filed by James Kelly, Town of Acushnet, for the property located at the New Bedford Reservoirs, Lake 1, 2, and 4. The applicant proposes the removal of the root of invasive weeds from areas of the New Bedford Reservoir, Lakes 1, 2, and 4, located in Acushnet, using an eco-harvester. The applicant is represented by Scott Daggett, Lake Street Improvement Committee. Due to the Mullen rule, members Rebecca and Nelson will not be eligible to vote. Discussions of invalid vote taken on March 26th due to the lack of quorum. Review of matters present, votes may be taken.
Yes.
Okay, I'd like to entertain a motion to open this.
Motion to open this meeting.
Do I get a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Scott?
Good evening. So we're continuing this again. Hopefully not back to square one. I understand the complexities of the last meeting, which I must say I'm a little disappointed in, but we want to move forward.
Okay. So with that said, we are looking to town council to see if this was even properly closed. We knew though that it might be because of an error of quorum. So with that being said, I believe we're gonna, if it does go forward, we're gonna have to put out a new abutters notice to give the public notice that even though we said it got closed last time, it might not be closed. But with that, we did have Heidi reach out to the ethics. They accepted her to fill out a letter disclosure form. So with that being said, now we gotta get it sent to the selectmen and go from there. Before it does get to the selectmen, I do have to bring up, entertain a motion for Heidi's disclosure letter to be accepted. So with that, I'd like to entertain a motion for Heidi's letter to be accepted.
Motion to accept the disclosure letter.
Do I have a second?
I'll second that. What does that mean?
So Heidi's writing in a disclosure letter, which is gonna give her the ability to vote. Okay, so we already have a second. Do I have a vote?
Aye.
Yes, she can vote on that, correct? Yep, you can. Aye.
I'm gonna have to abstain.
Aye.
Dave, you can vote. She can vote, correct?
Yes.
Yep.
If I could just add a few comments. For those of you that don't know me, I'm Pam Luanti, the town clerk. We spoke on the phone. I have been working with Jim and Mark in order for us to get this rectified, and I know Jamie's been working with town council as well. The situation being, because this was an error in part by the dynamics of the board. This is a very rare circumstance as to what happened with the voting. But with that being said, we don't want to force you to file another NOI. However, because the public is under the perception that the meeting was closed and it was closed properly, they deserve the right to know that it has been continued, okay, that there was an error that did take place. Again, we're still waiting for town council to get back to us, but I think the fairest, in my opinion, the fairest way to move forward is to re-advertise, have a new abutters list pulled from our assessor's office, and then we can go ahead and continue the hearing properly. We want to be as transparent as possible, and I think that's what this board is looking to do. Okay. I'd also like to make one other addition that Heidi was, she did file a disclosure because she is an abutter to the marsh, which is in front of her property. She's already spoken with the ethics division. The ethics division said that they feel that she could vote on this and be objective. So that's perfect. The other scenario is that we did not have Eric DeBarros here that day to vote. And he is entitled to also vote as long as he signs the notification that he has watched that meeting, the video of the meeting, and he signs off on the disclosure. Okay?
What happens if he doesn't sign up on the disclosure?
You
Because
still,
in my honest opinion,
yeah?
I feel that Mr. DeBarros, and, him being a part of the commission, with all due respect, throws little roadblocks here and there. So I am not so confident that he is for this project.
Okay.
So if he fails or decides not to sign that disclosure, what will happen?
You still have a quorum.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Now, that's not to say the quorum is going to vote in your favor, but you will have the ability to have a fair vote. Yes.
Eric, this is not.
This is not.
I'm just asking. Is that Jim? This is-
Eric, we're not going to discuss that now, please.
Okay.
So as far as, I am going to say one thing about, to Scott, is that's why this is a 7-member board.
Yes.
Is that, so if someone don't agree with it and we got enough that does, then it passes. If we don't have enough that does, then it fails. So as a 7-member board, that's what we're trying to do. So this way here, it's never favored one way or the other. It's a complete vote. All right. With that, does anyone from the public have anything to say about this? Okay. So with that being said, Scott, what I'd like to do is go with 2 meetings away, because if council gives us the notification that we're okay to go, it gives you time to get the abutters list back out. Joanne, if you could please give me that date.
It was May 14th and May 28th, so you're talking May 14th?
2 away is May 14th? Do you think that gives them plenty of time to do the abutters?
You have to do it
So
all.
I'll have to obtain the butters list, it has to be a certified list, and then I have to mail out the mailing.
Would you rather go 3 away?
Can I just interject here for just a moment? Is there any way that we could expedite this through Ms. Levante in the office for the abutters list?
That's not my, that's the assessor's office.
Yeah.
That doesn't fall into my jurisdiction.
I mean, the assessor's office has always been really respondent.
Yeah.
You know, they've had a pretty quick turnaround because, you know, they know it's a town
I
project.
think once you put the request in, they have 10 days, and they're pretty
Yeah,
well within that
well,
timeframe,
I think the first time I got my list, it was within probably 2 or 3 days.
Yeah, I think that's.
Mark?
So I don't know exactly where the postage comes from. Is it, I'm happy to help.
Yeah,
In
no,
any
what-
way I can do the legwork.
Yeah, what I did
Any
last
legwork I
time
can
is I
do.
think I went through the selectman's office and they handled the mailings and the postage.
So I'm in the office here. It's easier perhaps if people are okay with that idea to do the legwork. If there's any,
Yeah, I'll either go through you or I'll go through the selectman's office like I did last time.
okay.
So how would you like to do this, Scott? If we do the May 14th, if something happens, we'll keep in contact with you, and you don't have everything back or whatever, we can always continue it on the May 14th to the next meeting.
Will I have to present the certified mailings like I did previously?
Yes. Everything would have to go basically the same way.
Same way.
And that's what I'm
It has to
saying.
be 10 days before that, May 14th.
So it'd be May 4th.
14th.
So they have to be dated 10
Yeah.
days prior to May 14th?
Correct.
Yeah, that shouldn't be a problem.
So let's put it on the 14th. Worst case scenario, we'll continue, we'll push it to another meeting.
Question,
Yep.
does an ad needs to be placed again?
Yes, yes, the full, yes.
So I would like to entertain a motion to continue this until May 14th.
Motion to continue this till May 14th?
Do I have a second?
A second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, Scott.
Thank you, Scott.
Thank you very much.
Okay, now we have an extension of order of condition for the DPM development off north side of Blaze Drive, SE 001-0530. A request for an extension to an existing order of conditions was filed for SE 001-0530. DPM development for property located off the north side of Blaze Drive, maps 12, lot 18, 1, 11C, and 11D. The applicant proposes to continue to construct a 17-lot subdivision off the north side of Blaze Drive within the buffer zone, a bordering vegetated wetland. The applicant is represented by Steve Giassa, Site Tech Engineering and Environmental Consultants Incorporated. Plan name is Subdivisional Plan of Manise Estates. Plan dated July 26, 2018. Revised January 16, 2019. Reviews of matters presented. Votes may be taken. Young man?
Yes, sir. John Down, Site Tech Engineering. Steve wasn't able to make it tonight, so I'm in the bullpen.
Yes, I talked with Steve today, and he told me you were going to be here.
Yeah, exactly what you said. We were hoping that we could extend the order for 3 years. There's still work, as you know, left to be done out there. Some piles to be created, habitat, I think it was, some stumps and some other things to restrict access to certain areas. some cleanup work. The flags are up, that was a request, so the flags have been set and numbered.
Yeah, I actually went by there today, and I want to thank you, that was a very quick response.
Good night, Steve. But I'll be sure to mention that to him. And then the contractor will be in the process of fixing the silt fence and the wattles, and when that is going to be scheduled, one of us, either Steve or I, will call the office to make sure that you're ready, you'll be able to do an inspection for that work. And then the last thing was they have the wildlife specialist is going to be out there on Monday, and according to Steve, that he would call 20 minutes or so before he arrives on site to meet you guys.
Okay, with that being said, guys, I actually talked to the guy's name is Brian Madden. Him and I talked today. We went further into detail than the site visit we originally did. Actually, Eric was out there and noticed that some stumps were done, the bog was cleared. The silt fences looked like they were in the working in the reverse direction. So I actually talked to Brian Madden from the environment, from the wildlife, and he told me that the silt fences are in the wrong direction due to the turtles. They don't want the turtles to come into the site, so they put the dirt on the opposite side so they can't come through. Mating season is right around the corner. So this is all through the CMP, which is the Conceptual Mitigation Plan. It's through the state, it's not in our jurisdiction. So when we went out there again, Christian and I did a walkthrough, we noticed that, and Eric ended up joining us, we noticed that a pile of stumps, the bog was cleared. It seemed like really erratic work until I got the phone call from Steve saying that this was because it was requested by the CMP. So I didn't believe some of it, and that's when they said, well, if you want to come through the site visit with Brian Madden, that he's going to be there 3 o'clock on Monday. So I know that Mark and I are going to try to get out there. I'm going to invite Christian to really go everything. I didn't believe with all the stumps were there for that reason, so that's why Brian said we'll look at it Monday. With that being said, I'd like to entertain a motion to continue this hearing until after the meeting on Monday, and then we can actually know exactly what's going on. Because
What was the clearing and stuff?
for the turtles, for the mating sections of the turtles. And that's why that bog that was cleared was so roughly done. You notice how they didn't pick any of the brush up or anything, they left it really erratic looking. That's for the turtles.
And that was per the agency?
So the bog cleared was definitely by the agency. The stumps, they were supposed to put the stumps in front of any area where the quads were going through and dirt bikes were going through. And that's where I mentioned to Brian that I don't believe that the whole intent of the stumps there were there, but that's my own perception, right? So that's why Brian says, why don't you guys just come there, we'll walk through everything. And he says he has not seen the stump pile, so he's not gonna give me a judgment over the phone. So with that being said, I know the next meeting is April 23rd. Okay, I'd like to entertain a motion to continue this till April 23rd.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
I
Okay, so you are continued till April 23rd.
May I ask a question, quick question?
Go ahead.
The order says it expires on in the vicinity of the 29th, so we will be okay with that, should everything be okay?
So here's the thing, you guys put in a request for an extension. As soon as you put in the request for an extension, it can expire.
Yeah.
Because what the state did that for, and I had to look all this up, what the state did that for is just in case someone decides 2 days before their expiration date to come before the board, and we don't have a quorum and we can't properly vote it, now you're going to be automatically denied. So what happened is the state came up with this law that as long as they put the request in, that it gives them beyond the date. So you're good, unless we deny it, but you're good the extension will not expire on you. All right?
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Okay, discussion matters. First one is 990 Main Street drainage, flooding issues, review of matters presented, votes may be taken. So I was in the office and we got a phone call from a resident at 990 Main Street saying that he had a river running through his property. So he wanted to dig it out and do all this other stuff, and I said, just hold on and I'll go do a site visit. So I went and did a site visit, I told him all stop. With that being said, while I was there, I did a quick follow the river down, right? You see the water coming, you go back up with it. So I went over it, I went up to 1020 Main Street, talked with the two owners there. Everyone's really nice people. As we were discussing it, we followed it up, and it seems to be coming through 1050 Main Street stone wall. So this one here is really, I think, a hard issue. I'm actually going to send it over to Mark right now and let him give us his opinion, because him and I were discussing this today.
Well, I guess part of the issue is the hydrology, their wet sites, we're in the spring. This has been part of an ongoing discussion, so I think that the prudent approach is to reach out to the engineer on the site and follow up, continue to try to investigate, where all this water is coming from. It's a wet meadow. These properties, are incredibly wet. So, it's hard to, there's more to it than just saying this is where the water's coming from. It's not coming from here. It's moving down the slope from an adjacent hill. It's moving from one slope apparently. That's just my observations. All of us were out there. I think we need to take a little bit more time if we're going to try to resolve and understand where this water's coming from and come up with a intelligent solution to it instead of just a knee-jerk, let's just go out there and do something for the sake of doing something. And I don't know, Mr. Chairman, if anyone else.
If I may, we did do a site visit out there on Saturday. I was a little bit displeased of the property itself because there is wet meadows there, some live running streams, unknown of where it originates from. That's not our job. Our jobs are to protect those meadows, to protect that running stream. I think there's a lot more here going on that property than any of us will ever come to know about. I would actually like to see a cease and desist issued on this property going forward until we have a peer review done on this.
What property is this?
Say that again?
What property?
It's the 1050, Jimmy?
That is 1050, but, if I give you my opinion, I don't think a cease and desist is proper. You didn't put it into a motion, so we get to discuss it, right? The reason being that I am going to bring it to the public very shortly to come up and talk, but the reason being I feel this way is because when I was talking to the neighbors, that this has been going on for a while. It's like not 6 months, not 6 years, not 10 years, not 15 years. This has been going on for a long time. And it is old farmland. So to just say throw a cease and desist on it until we do further information, Doug, I think is just reaching a little hard. I don't know what else to say, but that's my own personal opinion. And we do have someone that is abuts 1050. If you would like to come up and speak, Irene?
You pretty much said it all. There's been water coming there since I've lived there for 18 years, so it's always
Right.
been the same problem. It's
And
wet, it's
that-
always been wet.
Yep, and then that's why, with being said, I don't think we can just say it's the solar field. We can say that it is part of the farming. I mean, I'm gonna be truthful, there's two, in the solar field, there is two drainage through the roads. One of them goes right to the lowest point of the property, headed to the lowest point of the property. The engineer that I met on site said that, well, that's why they have double socks, that's where most of the water runs. I don't know, maybe if this is something we can work with the solar company and say, maybe we can do something to maybe help relieve a little bit of this, and I don't know, you know, but I think it's something that's more than just everyone stop. I think it's more of an investigation to see what's the best way to handle it from the property. Go ahead.
And again, yeah, I know that DPW has had some discussions in terms of a potential solution, but I think we need to sit down and get the parties together and discuss. It is a wet site, you say it's been wet, and I'm not surprised.
Is it wet? It's wetlands. We were told that's wetlands,
Yeah.
all of the back there.
And my understanding is, in your opinion, it's gotten worse more recently. So what's the source of that, I think is still, you know, I don't think we have a conclusive evidence one way or the other. I think we need to work with the solar farm, work with DPW.
So the other issue is, I'm sorry to interrupt you, Mark. The other issue we have too, we've had more rain in the past few years than we've ever had. I mean, we're getting more, you know, so much more rain than a normal season. Even this year, I think it's above normal, right? So is that reflecting why, right? So we really don't know. And that's why I think we should continue. Mark's going to start making some phone calls and see what we can do. As far as the DPW, I actually sat down with Dan. Dan was actually going to get a hold of you, Jennifer, about the drainage stuff. He shot all the grades. And then I was telling him about the phone call that I got. And he says, well, maybe we can go to them. He's going to have to go to the town with it and maybe relieve on the other side of the stone wall on their property and put a drainage in so it ain't flooding people out, right? Because I don't think it's 100% the solar fields. I'm not saying it's zero, but you know what I mean? I do believe this is due to old farmlands. I know that the hills were changed a little bit, water was redirected a little bit, so that might have picked it up a little bit, but I don't think it's 100% the solar fields fault. That's my personal opinion.
Can I just say, it's still flooding. I mean, recently we haven't seen it, but towards Main Street, the front there, there's flooding, there's a lot of flooding. And this year we didn't get a lot of snow, so it didn't melt, but usually the water will go right through Main Street.
Correct,
There's a big
so
flood right there.
that's part of the DPW. The DPW actually went down there, shot all grades. I actually had a meeting with Dan Menard, and he said he was gonna call Jennifer, and then when I told him this, he says he's gonna hold off on calling Jennifer because they do plan on putting a new drainage system through the road that's gonna capture the water from there going down Main Street, and that's why Dan says we might be able to tie your property into this, which might relieve 2 other properties. So I think we should take and try to investigate this a little more. We'll talk to Dan. I'll talk to Dan personally again. I'll probably bring him to your site, your residence, if that's okay. And let's see what we can do about working together and not so much try to beat anybody up. And I think would be the easiest way to handle this. So with that being said, unless we have anyone else from the audience, or if we have any other questions from the board.
I do. So, Mr. Chairman, if I may,
Go ahead.
my concern is, and I think the board knows, my concern with the property is, at this point in time, is some type of a follow-up, enforcement, whatever the actions may be, as far as the illegal, illicit dumping of the hazardous waste that we all saw next to that stream. That bothers me, that's concerning. I would like something from the commission or the property owner, knowing that it's been properly cleaned up, properly disposed of. And I think it's fair for the public to know this. It's not the right thing to do, what's happened. It was a mistake, but it needs to be properly addressed, handled, and disposed of. That's my feeling.
So when we were out there, and I'm gonna come right out there was dog poop in the river. They were putting dog poop in the river, and dog poop is one of the most hazardous materials there are. It's actually as considered a hazard material, not a fertilizer. It'll never break down to a fertilizer. It always stays hazardous material. Even when you pick it up off your lawn, that spot in your lawn is hazardous material, and it takes forever to go away. And a lot of people don't realize this. A lot of people throw it in the woods, figuring it's the easy way to get rid of it. It's actually the wrong way to get rid of it. And I'm saying this so the public knows also. Put it in a bag and put it in the trash. It's the easiest way. Some people say, I got a little dog, it leaves a little turd. It doesn't matter. The hazard material is there. With that being said, Doug.
I think when Pat was here, we had all the flyers printed out, and that's part of the MS4 stormwater law that was supposed to be made. It's one of the big things in that is about that. Whatever happened with all those?
I don't know.
They all got printed? Do you?
I can add to that. A lot of those flyers came to my office, so when we did the dog licensing, we would give a flyer out, but we don't have it, we've exhausted that supply that was given to us. Yeah.
I'm like really, I'm sure that in MS4 law states that we're supposed to have it constantly being available for the knowledge in public. So if they're exhausted, we need to be able to be aware of that and have them reprinted again, so we are in compliance.
Yeah, they didn't come from my office, they came from the conservation. Merrill Lee had actually given them to my office.
So that was before Pat.
Yeah, there's a lot.
We had a whole bunch, because I had it, I didn't have time to run by my house. I think it was before you. Yeah.
So I think the board knows.
Whoa, let's settle down here, guys. Everyone's talking at once here.
But yeah, we need to have them posted somewhere where it's viable that people can get them. Town hall, we're supposed to have them at town hall. Council on Aging, I think it was spoke of that we were gonna put us, I know we had tons of them printed.
And then the other thing is they should be handed out with every license.
With every license.
Good, man.
So 2 points. We can look, I'll look if there's any lying around in the office, that would be an immediate fix, but we probably need to find whatever it was used to print them up. So I can look for.
I have them.
Do you have them? Okay.
Yeah.
So if I can get
They
a
never
copy,
put on the website.
if I
I
can get a
never
copy.
they got heard of, and then all of a sudden we just got blown off.
So I know that this committee has WPA money. With that WPA money, Mark, we should have WPA money. We should request that yeah, if we can use it. I mean, we're gonna have to request it, but if we can use it, we should have these flyers made up. Give Pam a box. We could put a box at the Council of Aging, and then they're available. But if they get handed out with every single dog license in Acushnet, then there's no excuse. Period.
And it's just, with the MS4 stormwater law that we're supposed to obey by because of the way we dispose of our water through the Acushnet River, by law, we're supposed to have them readily available. So it's not only a good idea, it's part of being compliant with the MS4 stormwater law. So it's one of those small things that's in that law that makes a big difference for the town to be compliant with the law. That's very easy. You print them out, you put a stack there, and you're done with it.
Can I get a copy from you?
They're in my office and I'll grab them.
All right.
And then I'd like to address one more thing, something that Doug said about an enforcement letter. If you don't mind, I would like, Mark, for you to send a letter to 1020, just regarding saying, please, this can never happen again. We are gonna go for a site visit to go look up at the cleanup and make sure it was done properly.
And one last thing is that I do I do acknowledge and I do appreciate the thought of having the solar farm try to help with this problem, but if the water source is coming from off property, like we have been going through with other parcels and stuff, it's not their responsibility to try to slow it down. The law clearly states that whatever the water flow is running now, it doesn't exceed. It's not really right for us to put that on a homeowner or a business to try to fix a problem that's already existing. We gotta kind of get to the root of the evil before we try to.
Yeah, well, that's why Mark wants to investigate it. Dan, like I said, Dan from the DPW wants to help. And if we can make it all work, I think we should try to do it. I think the problem's only getting worse is because of our rains increased a lot, which is part of it. And I do, my own personal opinion, but we're gonna look into it, I do believe one of the excesses you have through your driveway, that points right to that low point. And I don't remember Mr. Fanna's first name.
Mr. who, sorry?
Fanna, the guy we met there?
Oh, Kevin Fanning? Oh, Eddie Fanning.
Yeah, okay.
Brothers, yeah.
So we met him there, and when I said, oh, you got socks right there, and he said, well, that's where most of the water runs, so we doubled it up with socks. I don't know, Jennifer, if you can take a look at it, and maybe we can divert it a little bit, like the other way to that other low area, because right now it's headed to right that corner. I don't know if that's going to, it probably definitely ain't going to stop it, but it might help it a little bit. I mean, it's something that we should just look into. We're not forcing it on you, and that's why I'm kind of saying that we should all try to work together here and not point fingers and not do that. Let's see what we can do to resolve this. They are your neighbors, right? And I think it's better to work that way.
I was gonna, Eric, so with this hydrology, to step back, we should come in the office. Seems like you've done some investigation. If you got time and you're interested.
Oh, yeah, I go in there often, I was in there twice this week.
All right.
When
We should
usually
work
rain
together.
days, rain days when I can get in there. The problem is every time, it's just that we're on different schedules, I guess.
My schedule's probably a little bit, not a lot, but a little more flexible. And as Jim said, I know Dan Menard has shot some additional elevations just before we just start, eyeballing a solution. We should have some actual information, what's going to work.
Understanding,
And just one of the biggest issues at hand that I see big now is that he put the extra socks there for a reason, because it was already a prior problem that they already priorly knew about. So, I think we need to investigate it, but I would hope that it was investigated at the beginning of the project.
Well, I don't even know if they knew about it, truthfully, right? Because what happened, 990 was repurchased. So with that being said, I think it should get reinvestigated, and I think we should move on to the next subject.
Well, we gotta close it, right?
No, this is only discussion.
Yeah.
Oh, it's a discussion.
Yeah, this is all
Okay,
discussion.
next.
I'm sorry, one question. So Jennifer, I can reach out to you. I don't know who from.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, we should all,
Absolutely.
put our heads together
Yeah.
and, yeah.
Yeah.
So, okay.
All right.
I'll reach out.
You're gonna get to know it real quick.
Been around for a while.
Next on the discussion, 1050 Main Street. Request for review of revised plans regarding Acushnet Solar LLC, Jennifer Duquette. Reviews of matters president, votes may be taken.
That's what this one is, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
I'm gonna pull my plan up for that.
You got it right?
Yeah.
Yeah, there ain't no way I can. Nope. Young kids might.
Even still, it doesn't matter if you can see it, you can't measure, you can't do nothing.
So Jennifer, first thing I'd like to say, I was very disappointed when we got on site.
Okay.
So Kevin is his name?
Eddie.
Eddie,
Brothers.
okay. I'm sorry. So Eddie says to me, I'm not here for you guys, I'm here for the complaint. I said, no, you're on the agenda. No, I'm not. So no construction was really discussed. He said he had plans on his phone that we could look at. Of course, I didn't bring a full set of plans with me. So it was just very unprofessional, I feel, on you guys' part, not to have him prepared for our meeting. Our site visits on Saturday, just so you know, is volunteers. So we are there on our own time. So then I started picking through, well, I know you guys want to fill in or raise the basin, elevate. Oh yeah, that's what we want to do. So it was very not good. Especially on our Saturdays, right? So now you have the floor.
Mr. Chairman, if I could,
Go right ahead.
folks, if you could just introduce yourselves, not just for the camera, but for the people sitting here in the audience, so everyone knows who you guys are.
My name's Evan Conley from Gills and Thomas here on behalf of She's Holder and Sam.
I'm Jennifer Duquette, I'm a senior project manager with Nexamp.
Thank you.
Thank you guys for having us.
Thank you, Dave.
So we are here to discuss our revisions to the stormwater basin in your jurisdiction. So just for clarity, we have the buffer zones in yellow and the basin in blue. What you're seeing right now is the previous design. So this is related to DEP file number 10543. So the stormwater basin was regraded and modified due to some concerns from the commission about it not dewatering within 72 hours. During site visits, during storms and everything, we noticed that the bottom of the basin did not pitch towards the outlet, which is right up here. So it was generally flat, so the water couldn't really get out. So the stormwater basin was regraded in about the same footprint. If you want to show it's about the same footprint. The outlet structure was slightly changed, slightly raised, so now it's all pitched so that it goes out, the outlet structure slows down the runoff rates compared to what was previously permitted and designed. So what else we got? So that's regarding the basin, the stormwater basin revision. We also were in discussion with the fire department about this fire access lane that goes around the solar array. And they had asked us to put some sort of material to stabilize the fire lane so that there's vehicles can safely traverse around.
Right, they didn't want the grass.
Yeah. So in order to keep the existing hydrology analysis the same, we are proposing a permeable paver system. So that allows water to run through, infiltrate into the ground as normal. Grass is grown on top of it. And that there are portions of that around the array that are in the jurisdiction also.
Okay, so we did a site visit Saturday. I actually walked through that basin. There's more than 6 inches of water in that basin now. So if you fill it 6 inches, it's still ain't gonna drain, my own personal opinion. There was about 8 to 9 inches of water in there.
How long is it supposed to, until it's supposed to drain?
72 hours.
72 hours.
I've never been on that site and seen it dry.
Yeah, the tube that goes up takes out half.
I think that our outlet, not to interrupt, but our outlet, so we raised the outlet so there's more pitch that leads to.
You already did this, or you going to?
No, it's part of the design.
Okay, well, you're talking, it sounds like you already did.
Yeah,
That's what we're thinking. I'm like, wait a second, I was out there, that thing was level. Wait, what are you talking about?
Yeah, so part of the design is we added more pitch to that outlet pipe, and in hopes that the water goes down the basin and then there's more pitch so it can actually leave.
So the other thing I've said in prior meetings too is where did you get your elevation of wetlands, right? So the last guy was saying, he said, well, we shot the top of water, right? You shoot the top of water, it does not give you the wetland, it gives you how much water you have in there. So that rod should have been put to the bottom, the ground, that's the wetlands.
Are we talking about the?
Where the outlet is.
The wetland,
Yes.
here. Okay.
So if your basin is higher, if you're going by water elevation, and your basin is higher than the bottom of that wetland, it's never going to drain properly, because you're still into the wetland area.
That's why the 6
It's
inches
not
was
blocked,
still remaining there.
Like,
Right.
Did you guys, I remember this, from the last site visit, not this one, the one before. Did you guys, I don't have another plan in front of me, the original. There was talks about changing the grade heights around the detention basin. Did you guys change any of that, or we're just keeping it the same?
So this new design, and I think what you're looking at, that does change the elevations around.
So you're changing more than just what you have highlighted on blue. You're changing, what would say, a couple hundred feet around it?
No, we've stayed within this footprint along the road here. This road is the same.
Yeah.
The grading generally around here is all the same as well.
Generally, or?
So then one other thing that I saw when I was reading the print was, it says that the grades, I guess, ain't even completed, because it says that the contractor is going to, but to me, it seems like he's gonna find the grades when he gets there. So shouldn't those grades already be on the plan, saying that the contractor is working, it's right above it on the left-hand side, there's a little note there.
That may be, I have the previous version, that may be a remnant from what was original.
It is in this other one as well.
Okay, but that may be a remnant from the original permitting plan.
Okay.
I think that we've had our Bilsey Thomas's survey team go out, we've surveyed the basin, I'm not sure if we've gone deeper into where it outlets, but that could be something that we should do with more construction.
That's why it's.
So, Mr. Chairman, if I may, for me, there's not a lot of clarity on here to make things move forward. Obviously, it's loud and clear. There was more than 6 inches of water in there. I'm not happy with the elevations. I don't know if there was an elevation shot before project, during project, after project, going forward with this project. I don't see this working. There's a kind of a lot of maybes, ifs, sorta, kinda, in this project.
Man,
Do it,
so, going kind of off what you're saying, we're having a 1 foot, 2 foot difference between the wetland to the retention pond. So it's kind of hard for the water table to jump a foot just in one area unless it's going to be ledge or something that defers it. At this time, after I look at it and think on it more, when it was being constructed, was the correct material used at the bottom of the basin? Because that sounds to me, by looking at grades, that it's the water's being held in there not from water table, but from having the wrong soils at the bottom. So if it was supposed to have like septic sand or 3/4 stone, 3/4 stone or septic sand drains really well. But now, if they do that and it gets mixed up, mud and junk gets mixed in with the stone, it will not give the same drainage properties that it's supposed to. So is it an elevation problem we're looking after or looking for? Or is it that when the prior construction was done, they used the wrong materials in the bottom of the basin? Do you have any evidence or anything that you could throw our way that would suggest that it was the right material that was put in there in the first place?
I don't. I think that the basin, the bottom of the basin was supposed to be a grass basin. I'm not sure.
Yeah, the grass is the cap. You don't just put like a French drain. You don't just put a French drain has a top cap, which is grass, but underneath the grass, there has to be some type of material that lets the water out. Especially in Acushnet, we have a lot of areas that are clay. And what happens with the clay, it stays on top and it doesn't want to drain. So it doesn't matter how high, how low, or where you put the elevation of the retention, it's not going to drain. It just doesn't have the right hydrology in the soils for the soil to disperse, correct? So I'm just curious, because now that I'm thinking about it, originally, first time I went, that drain was not properly put in, right? Remember, that's one sign that alerts me that, well, we got one problem here in construction, maybe the drainage problem is actually the soils that were put in the bottom, because now we're at 36, 37, and then there's, 56, 57, then 58, that's a 2-foot difference between water table.
That should let it drain. But the only thing is, and I'm gonna tell you, I was looking into this, we did not have this on our stormwater that the planning board did. I haven't found the original from the planning board, but I do have ours. So I looked at a few other basins in the Acushnet. 90% of them have to be clean fill. Not stone, not sand, it's a clean fill.
Well, I think then maybe we are finding the reason why some of these other ones are flooding.
No, if the specs are in for clean fill, that's what you're gonna use. And even according to the Wetlands Act, it's a clean fill. You can't use an urban backfill, you can't use stuff, it's supposed to be a clean fill. I don't have a cross-section of what you guys originally used in there. I actually did look through it.
Is it 3-inch minus clean fill? Is it 1/4-inch minus?
It says clean gravel is what it
So
says.
clean gravel, now that's what I'm saying. So you got 3-inch minus clean fill gravel, you got 1/4-inch minus.
It says clean gravel. That's exactly what it says, clean gravel.
So
You can't use an urban backfill, you can't use a clay, you can't use anything like that.
because I know, where was it? I think it was the golf course, they had sand, the bottom was sand.
Well, I don't know about the golf course, and I think we're,
Because, on a septic system, when you use a septic system,
this
right?
ain't a septic system, though.
No,
This is
I'm
supposed
just
to be
using-
naturally drained.
I'm just saying, to have a septic system drained, then you have to use sand.
Right, but this does not require sand, and they don't require sand. And I looked into that pretty good, because I was thinking maybe they might have filled it with the improper materials. I don't know what you guys did, that was before, we never even went out there. The basin was actually way down before anyone on this board was there, right?
We went there.
No, it was already built.
Oh, yeah.
It was already built. So I don't know what the materials are. Maybe you can get back to us with it. The other thing is, I still don't know if 6 inches are gonna work, since there was over 6 inches in it. So,
But that's what I'm saying, if it's not drained, if the soils are not draining, if whatever rainfall we have, it's like having a wheelbarrow in
Well-
your backyard, it's gonna return.
correct. So here's what we can do. I can entertain a motion that this basin goes to peer review. Let them do the homework for us. Let them figure out why it ain't draining, because if the elevation's only gonna change 6 inches, that basin should only have a couple inches in it now. Because if you put 6 inches on what's top there now, and there's 9 inches of water, it still ain't never gonna drain. Yeah.
Just the only problem I foresee with us keep doing the peer review is peer review does not do, they only review the plans.
Nope, that's incorrect, Eric. We can talk to peer review and tell them what we're looking for. We're looking for them to go out, check the basin, do an auger hole in the basin, see what's going on. They'll do whatever we ask. They're technically working for us. So if we send the basin to peer review, let them look at it, see if they think this is gonna be a 6-inch fix. If not, then we can take and figure out what the next step. If they do, then we can say, okay, we got our peer review back, they accepted it, let's go with that. So with that being said, I'd like to again entertain a motion to put the basin under peer review. Oh, I'm sorry, Matt.
No, that's okay, I just wanted to the point, if it goes to peer review, we can ask the peer reviewer to look at.
Correct. Peer review works for us.
Right, and I think to Eric's point, I mean, if we're trying to identify likely explanations, if we can do it with an auger, I mean, if we can get that answer, if the material that's in there is actually perching the water, if there's something going on there, I don't think that's a part of the peer review, something we should, that's just my opinion, I'm not.
Okay, so for the third time, I'd like to entertain a motion to put this basin through peer review. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Set. With that being said, I don't know, we'll give you a list of 3. You guys pick it. And get the peer review out there. We will, once you pick the peer review, we would like to talk to them before they even go out there, so we can tell them our concerns, what we're expecting them to do for us, and then we'll go from there. What we can do is we can do it, I can take and we'll bring this up on another discussion once we hear back from peer review, and then we'll go from there. Sound fair? All right, thank you very much. Thank you. Okay. Next one, 550 Main Street, Navison Solar Site. Review of matters presented, votes may be taken. Okay, Steve is not here. We haven't heard from Steve from a while, is that correct, Joanne?
I emailed him later this afternoon about, 24 to 53 G to pay, it's the other deal, but he just said he'd be down this week, so, but nothing communication wise. I haven't heard anything on that.
Okay, with that being said, guys, what I think we should do is have Mark reach out to Steve and Bill Madden, see if these as-bills were done, see if these two are still talking, see if things are working, see what's going on, because without Steve here, without Bill here, we can't really make anything on this decision.
Let's keep it on the agenda.
I went in there a couple times, didn't look much different than the other day. The other day I was coming down the road and I got caught behind a truck with a big, dump truck type utility vehicle with tracks on it going in there, so I would assume they're trying to move forward on doing some of the work. I would imagine what the loan they said they were gonna do in the front.
Loan, right?
But I don't know.
So what we'll do is we'll have Mark reach out to Steve and Bill and see where we are in the process, and tell them we'd like them here for the next discussion. All right, sound good?
Sounds good.
Okay. 588 Middle Road, cease and desist update, review of the matters presented, votes may be taken. So I know Mark just stepped out for a couple seconds here, but we did have a site visit with Pico as far as their order of conditions they have on site, and he was very, very easy to work with. He put us in his truck, he gave Mark and I a ride around, showed us everything that he does. He keeps his silk fences always maintained. He tries to go out there at least once a month. There was a couple that deer knocked over, of course, trying to cross them. So he said that's one of his biggest concerns on maintaining the silk fence is the deer. The other thing him and I discussed was his fueling station. His fueling station, he's supposed to be within 100 feet away from the buffer zone. That property's so narrow, he can't put it 100 feet from a buffer zone. Because if he goes 100 feet this way, he's going to be too close to that way. So right now, his fueling is approximately close to 70 feet away from the bordering wetland downhill. The property slopes down. So what Manny said he's going to do is he's going to clear out some granite blocks there. He's going to put a big V with some concrete barriers. He's going to keep oil absorbent socks in there at all times. I also requested that he get 2 spill kits, one at the fuel station and one at the grinder. And then he called me the other day, he said, Jim, I'm having a hard time finding which ones to buy. So me being on the water, I have all the connections. I sent him all the information where to buy. I told him where to buy the oil socks, what like. And then when I was on the phone with him, I asked him, I said, you know something? I said, you should have 3. I said, because you have one at the mulch pile, one at the fuel station, if something goes wrong at the other end. And he said, Jim, I'll even put 4, whatever you guys want. So he is unbelievably working with us easily. Like I said, there was even one spot I didn't like where he had some granite. I said, Mandy, this is really a little close. He said, no problem, pull it out. And so, like I said, he's no problem. He said we can visit anytime we want. Very, very easy to work with. With that being said, Mark and I actually ended up leaving, shaking his hand and saying thank you. So, and one thing I didn't mention, all the barriers that were put up for his mulch, that was all through the DEP. He had the engineers. Everything was permitted. It came to the Conservation Commission. So everything there is 100% of what the guy is doing is right to his orders. All right?
How did you make out with the problem at hand?
Well, that's what I'm going to discuss next with Mark. So, the main problem was the clearing of the property. So Mark and I had a discussion. The property owner came in, met with us on a Friday evening. It was a very, very good meeting. We gave her 3 recommendations to call to get a botanist replication out there and just to get some advice from him. She's more than willing to work this as a joint effort between the commission and her doing the things the proper way. We're not going to send this to the DEP and let them, investigate it. We're going to try to handle it in-house. As long as she's cooperating with us, I think that's the best way to go. Mark agrees, and she's 84 years old. She's a resident of this town. There's no reason to just say, here's the DEP, attack her, right?
Or under the bus.
Right. So I think it's actually a really good thing that she's willing to work with us. We're willing to work with her. I know that, a couple issues were said that shouldn't have been. One was the names brought up that shouldn't have been brought up. But I actually went and talked to one of the gentlemen that were mentioned, and I kind of told him, I said, the worst part about this is that with the fibbing, or however you want to put it, was done, it doesn't give us the right to tell you, don't look for this in the future, right? You want to tell us the truth so we can go forward and say, hey, if you go to another town that you might have this issue, please go to their conservation commission. If you do another job on our town and you see this might be possible, please come to us first, right? And I think that's part of the biggest thing is putting people aware, right? And we even have it with residents buying houses. No one ever calls the Conservation Commission, right? Everyone just do what they want and figure out, I bought this property, it's mine. So I think part of the problem was awareness, so we made sure we put that aware. She's truly aware now, and I think we should just move forward and see what we hear back from her and let us know how things are looking, keep us in the loop. And once we get more information, we'll spread it among the commission, and we'll just go from there. So with that being said, Joanne, I would like to keep 588 on the discussion matter, just in case she does get back to us, we can just bring it right up.
So Jim, I would just add, it was, I don't know, I would say it was a pleasure, it was an unfortunate circumstance to meet the property owner, but as you said, a longtime resident, been involved with a lot of activities benefiting the town. And I think just generally, my approach, and I think all of our approach is to work with the residents and to echo what you're saying. It's better to work with people up front. I'm not here to hammer anybody, inflict, anything. I'm here to, and I think as all of you all as well, is to try to protect the resource. There's reasons why there's a Wetlands Protection Act, and I do think, building that rapport with the public in the long run, that, we're trying to, within the constraints we have to operate under, we're a resource, and, to try to remedy the situation. And hopefully that was my impression from our meeting, and I hope it was genuine. I see it being, but I just wanted to add that.
We did bring up something you said at another meeting. Reach out to the Boy Scouts, Bristol Aggie. So we gave her a few of the inside resources that we thought of.
Right.
So we're passing it on, and she actually has connections. A lady has done a lot for this 26 years on the beautification with the town. She did the green behind the town, parting ways.
Right.
So she's very involved in this town. She loves this town, and I think moving forward, we're going to do very well.
I agree, and I think the most important thing, again, this case is to educate the people of this town. We're here to provide not just a service, but to protect the wetlands, the streams, the things that we do, because we do care about this town. The mistake happened. Now it's time to hopefully recuperate, and that's why you know, it came off the top of the head of, you know, the Boy Scouts. I would like to see the site cleaned up by hand and not put some equipment in there that could obviously cause more harm than good. You know, to clean up the stream, to do the right thing is my hopes to go about cleaning up, again, a site, a mistake that happened, in educating the homeowners, the people that own these lands. Feel free to contact us, to reach out. That's why we're here, is to help. We're not here to hinder anybody. And that's all we ask as a board.
Thank you, Doug. All right, so with that being said, 275 Mender Road, wetland delineation, review of matters presented, votes may be taken. I know that we have the right with us, if you don't mind, just state your name.
Hi, I'm Lauren Macy. I live at 275 Mendel Road. The property is subject to an Eversource easement, and Eversource is bringing that new line, that new transmission line down through the property. So we're going to be losing a very long line of trees and bushes that have been there for over 10 years. Eversource is willing to work with us to move some incompatible species to other parts of the property. But we need to know if, because they're taking everything out, we need to know if we can remove the stumps and the root balls because it's in the wetland buffer. And we need to know if we can plant compatible species in that same footprint. I do have a wetland delineation that came out on March 20th. I don't know if you guys want to keep that, but this is the line in question, this entire thing. There's also a fence right here.
So that you're talking, they're gonna take this area.
From right here, all the way down. That all has to go.
And the goal is to re-replicate this after they're done working?
With things that don't grow
Okay,
as high. We can't have anything that grows larger than 15 feet.
okay.
Under the power lines. The fence, so I've applied for an application with Eversource to keep the fence. That's also, it wasn't put in properly, it's not grounded, it's a metal fence. I don't have answers if they will let me keep that fence yet. If we cannot keep it, they will replace it. But again, I'm hoping it can go back in the same spot. So I think you guys, I'd love to have you come out and do a site visit.
So here's one thing that I'm gonna say, Lauren. I know that you and I were talking and you said that their delineation line is not approved.
Right, so and my understanding was that when you guys looked at it, it would be approved. I
That is
asked them
not
that.
correct. So we are not botanists, we are not gonna say that that wetline is good. What Eversource has to do is apply for an ANRAD.
Oh, what?
An ANRAD.
ANRAD?
Yeah.
So should I ask them to do that?
Well, tell them that you came before the board, they're looking for them to apply for an ANRAD. That means someone else is gonna have to go and make sure the delineation line is accurate, right?
Oh, okay, I wish they could have just done that from the start.
All she's asking for is to take the stumps out, right?
Yes, the only problem is we do not have a certified delineation line.
Eversource is exempt, they're gonna do whatever they want anyways, why wouldn't we just let her do what she wants to do?
That would be ideal. Seeing how it's all there already.
If
I've
they're gonna
only
go
been
in
there
there,
2
they're gonna
years.
rip it all up, they're gonna do whatever they're gonna do anyway.
Well, you're right, but you said something right there though, right? That they are exempt.
Right, and they're trying to be a good neighbor, we're gonna call it, right? With the relocation and replanting of the trees. I think they're trying to be fair, probably based upon some discussions you've had with them early on, some contentions, right? So they're trying to play fair, and we all know, they don't have to. They can do whatever they feel, right? So let's give them the benefit of the doubt and throw the ANRAD at them and see what kind of an answer you get.
There's no,
Don't even throw the ANRAD.
there's no, I'm gonna like to entertain a motion
Well, I don't think we have a discussion.
We're not, it's
Just
not.
a
Yeah,
discussion.
this vote may be taken. Okay, I'd like to put something on to just let her do her thing. If she wants to take the stumps out, she can take the stumps out. As long as it's within the area of original removal.
Stay within that blueprint.
Okay, what about the fence?
That's up to Eversource, correct?
Yeah, so too.
But I mean, I could, if they tell me that old fence has to go,
Because it's metal.
because it's metal, would I be able to put the fence back?
I say
where it
yes.
was
So-
and vinyl?
Technically, we are not,
Yeah,
gonna be able to give you, that's gonna land on the
permitting, yeah.
building. That'd be building department to get the permit for the fencing. But on our end, I don't see any problem. It's not like she's deliberately going out and clearing a piece of property to extend her land or anything. She's just going out, anything.
We're gonna have to probably sign off on it, but here's the thing, right? Just so everyone knows too. She bought this
What is she
property.
need permitting for? She's not
For the,
permitting.
for the fence.
Oh, yeah, that would be, and she might not have to, because she might be exempt because it's not under her will. She's not the one that's doing it.
What we do is, I'll actually give Andy a call for you.
So, yeah, she
I'll do
will,
that for you.
okay, she can do that too.
But, yeah, I'll just make a call, make it easier for her, and I have talked a little bit, and she's kinda like nervous talking and stuff, so I'll make a phone call for her. But as far as the plants, stay under the same blueprint, so where they are, put them back. I'm not saying the same species, put them back. Because Eric is right, they're exempt, they can say it's wetland is wherever they want, and they are exempt. So, and the other thing is, just so everyone knows on the board, that when she bought this property, she didn't even know that easement was there, that they were gonna be putting a new one right alongside of her house.
Right.
These wires are gonna be right over the corner of her house.
Yeah.
There's gonna be a pole in her front yard now.
Yeah, I understand.
Yep, so
bloomed it
anything to
before.
do to get the beauty back, I think she should have full right to do, so keep it.
And I'm pretty sure there's other plans from when Knox owned it.
Probably.
If you wanted to look at, maybe you might be able to go to the assessor's office, they might be able to point you in the right direction for a plan number.
In regards to where the easement was?
Yeah. There should be plans somewhere that has it on it.
We have plans.
Yeah, I mean,
Does it
there are
have a
plans,
detail on
right. When we bought and I asked for the plan, I was given one that didn't have the house on it.
So what was it?
So I asked for a plan that showed the easement, and when it was handed to me, it was like one of the ones you guys copy out of your books, right? I don't know what the.
Just a 11,
Yeah, but we weren't concerned, because if you look at the paper, the trees and bushes make what we thought a pretty obvious line, right? There's a fence that then joins a wooden guardrail that Eversource put in, so the border, we thought, was pretty clear. It comes within a foot of our porch.
The only other spot where you could retain that information would be the registry of deeds. If there's anything, the registry of deeds would definitely have it.
Yeah, I do have all of those. So I'm an intervener in this project for Eversource now, so I'm trying to get as much information as I can before the hearing next week. And they were the ones that suggested, talk with your conservation first, because we don't want them to just cut these beautiful things down and have, these ugly stumps. We want to be able to save what we can.
well, if they're willing to replant them in your yard for you, I would take full advantage of that.
They will move some, but the arborvitaes are, like 35 feet tall. We can't move those. They won't survive.
Well, they're pretty hard.
I know, they're pretty big though.
You
It'd
can
be like a
trim
sail if I
them
go in.
them way down. You can pop it.
It's an absolute shame what's going to happen.
You can take the tops off and move them with a auger. A big machine comes in, it's got the whole root base and everything.
Yeah.
But I would get them to move every single one that you want. Plant back what you want. Stay close to that blueprint. You're good with us that way. The fence, good luck. I will talk to Andy for you and kind of do the same thing we're saying, is that it's there. It's always been there. Eversource might have to replace it with a vinyl fence. Can it go back to the same footprint? And I will call Andy for you and I'll get back to you.
Yeah, just let Andy know that we have no problem with.
Right, and that's what I want to tell Andy too, is we're giving you permission to put the plant right back. We don't care how close you are to the buffer zone, they were there, you want to establish that line, make something look halfway decent, and move forward with that.
Thank you, I appreciate that.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Have a good night. All right. 261 Hamlin Street, resident complaint to agent, letter sent to address, possible stormwater violation, review of matters presented, votes may be taken. The resident, want to come on up? Yeah. How you doing? Hello, good.
I'm Nicole Castelli.
All right, so we got this complaint about them clearing and doing all this other stuff, so automatically, I kind of spoke with him on the phone the other night. I was telling him that anything 40,000 square feet or more has to come before the stormwater permit. I went there with Christian, we ran a quick tape measure. You're at around 8,000, 9,000 square feet that you cleared. There was a lot of work done prior to them owning this house. Their backyard was a mess. He kind of took and pushed everything up into piles. When Christian and I were walking in, we saw no new cut stubs. The trees that we did see that was just recently cleared are up in a pile. Everything else, I think he's just trying to clean his backyard, so he pushed everything in a pile, and he's saying that it costs a lot of money to get rid of. Of course, I told him the other day that he can load it in a dump trailer and send it to the town, so he's going to start doing that. The issue that Christian and I had was probably the northwest corner of your property, is that what that? There was a mound there, and it was kind of like a berm that would stop any water coming off this property. That's the low spot. It would stop the water getting direct to the wetlands. So when I was talking, when I met his wife, I said, just have your husband call me tonight. I talked with him. I said, do me a favor, get that right out of there immediately, so this way the water flows natural back into the wetlands. After I told him that the town would take his trees and branches and stumps, I asked that he work from the wetlands to the higher lands. Start the furthest in, come back out. They did do a lot of cleaning up. That place was a disaster before they purchased it. They've only owned it 3 months. And of course, once again, you don't call the Conservation Commission and say, I got a mess in my backyard, or the clearing they did is so they can put in a pitcher's cage for their son. Their son's big into pitching. So I think this was more of an angry old neighbor than an actual legit complaint.
It's not a violation.
He's definitely not a violation. Like I said, it's very low square footage compared to the regulations. They're more than willing to take, he's actually going to start on it this weekend. They're going to take all that berm right out of there that might be stopping the water, and then he's willing to start on that corner and move it up. And I actually think he was very glad that I told him that you don't have to pay, you can get rid of the right to the town, right? It's no, you're not a landscaper. Right. Yeah, they were hauling it all to Westport, only getting one load here and there, so this will really be a relief. The only thing that I ask, when you do send it to the town, try to make sure the dirt's not in it, the wood is the wood. It doesn't matter, branches, stumps, whatever it is, try to keep it as clean as possible. Then, who knows, you might need the dirt for your batting, your pitching cage, whatever you need. There's no violation here. Move on, and good luck with the future. Thank you.
Yeah, I just have to say that this is our first home, so we didn't know, like you said, for us to call, so it's, now we know.
Any further questions?
We, just being first time homeowners, we had no idea that we have to, call you guys first before things. So.
And nobody does.
No.
Right? You don't buy a house and it's like, okay, you gotta call the building department, you gotta call the nobody does that, right?
Yeah.
And like I told you on the phone, if any questions, feel free to reach out. You have my phone number, my direct cell phone number, give me a call. I'm more than willing to talk with you or meet you if I have to. Don't be shy.
Thank you.
All right?
If I could, Jimmy.
Go ahead.
All I'm going to ask from my standpoint, once again, and I'm always throwing my 2 cents, is when you guys do break that berm down and clean that back, is just to give Jimmy a call, just so he can do a quick drive-by.
Yeah, absolutely.
If we're satisfied with the work that you guys did take
He's
care of
welcome
it.
anytime to walk the
Yeah.
property. We already told
And if
him.
I may, you need to understand, as far as the Conservation Commission is concerned, we're mainly concerned with wetlands impact. So,
Yeah.
you know, and you do have some wetlands in there.
Yes.
So, you know, if you do want to do any other projects close to that,
Yes,
we should be notified.
just ask him.
Yeah.
That's our concern.
Come in, call us, consult with us, while we're here.
About 100 foot.
All right. Thank you.
Yeah, that's it.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Good luck.
Okay, the next one, I have to recuse myself, and I'm gonna give this to Christian.
All right, 21 Cushing Lane, letter sent to owner, possible stormwater violation. Review of matters presented, votes may be taken. We got a complaint about some land clearing of this property. I did a site visit the other day, and it does appear that they are violating the stormwater. It's a substantial amount of land that was cleared. I think we need to get some kind of clarification from the property owner in regards to the exact footprint of the area that was cleared, so that we have a better understanding as to whether they are, responsible for a stormwater permit for what they've done.
So,
Yeah.
Can I add one? So we did, it's noted here on the
Yeah.
agenda, we sent a letter to the property owner. We still haven't heard back anything. Today was the deadline, so the next thing I was going to pursue is trying to reach out to the engineer. I believe it's the engineer on the property. And try to get some additional information.
Yeah.
Just pursue
Because
that.
again, I had eyes on it, and it looks, I mean, I wasn't,
Serious clearing.
yeah, I didn't encroach on the property, but from an adjacent property, and it looked substantial.
And sounds like it triggered stormwater.
That's my point, yeah, I think they could be in violation of stormwater.
Yeah, so,
Oh,
and again, we're still waiting for a response. They've got presumably they received the letter.
Yeah.
But I'm going to go ahead and move forward, but we could receive something back from them, property owners.
It appeared well over an acre to me.
So did we submit a letter to the homeowner?
Yeah, that's what he's saying, yeah.
May I, Christian?
Yeah.
Can you just show me where the new clearing is? So this is prior to the solar farm. That's it right there.
I know, I'm just trying to dig this.
Right, that's 21.
It's actually behind.
That's
Clem's,
that's
on the road here.
Oh, okay.
Clem's, right, the trailer park.
Yeah.
No, it's to the, I'm sorry, to the east. Or butts it.
Right.
Trying to,
Yeah.
what my,
Now you're in white.
yeah. Trying to look at what
You should have been right here.
Hold on. I know it was. Let me see, it's in this vicinity here. If I'm looking at this.
I went there too.
You did? Yeah,
Walk
so
the
we
site.
did.
We
No, actually, I think I'm off.
I know.
I
So so what we did, so you know. So we went in here.
White.
Had eyes on it. I don't think they were actually in Christian. I think that they weren't actually on the property.
Wall.
I guess there's
Basically,
advantage
yeah, try it.
where you can see the work from an adjacent property they had access to, we have access to. So it's.
Okay, really?
You're locked out here on the phone.
So one thing, I guess, and I wasn't there, but there's some question as to whether there might have been some wetlands in there.
Yeah, that's another possibility, that's true, yeah. You might wanna,
Yeah, so
you might wanna pursue that.
we might have to.
That's correct. I did, yes, you're right. There was some obvious signs, yeah.
So mass map or GIS maps, let's
So
open
there
this up.
was nothing on Mass Map or GIS, all the wetlands are across the street.
Which is funny, because that's why you have to walk,
Just look at the,
you know,
without some landmarks.
No, it wasn't targeted.
Oh,
It's hard for a landowner to know if they go on GIF and there's nothing comes up, they think they're in the clear.
Right.
but at the same time, you have your engineer, presumably.
Well, if it's under 40,000, you don't expect you even to get an engineer involved.
You'll see.
It's just tough, it's a tough situation. Even though 40,000 isn't very much, 200 by 200, so technically like any offset lot.
Yeah, I mean, in my guesstimate, it was all of a couple hundred feet of better in one line.
When I went in,
Yeah. Did you go in the same way?
I go into that one. This is all I seen, there was a little bit more back here done.
So at this time, why don't we resubmit a certified letter to the property owner and put the burden on the owner
We did.
No, just what we want.
of what's going on here?
Yeah, no, yeah, right,
I think
right.
I'm gonna reach out to.
This is.
I think I have the engineer for the project.
So this is
I'm gonna reach out to
17A,
them.
17A,
Yeah,
17B.
if we don't get something back.
21, they're all owned by the same
The
person.
property owner will pursue that.
That green roof is what I noticed. Again, it's back in this area from, because it was a diagonal from the house, you know what I'm saying? It was definitely a diagonal.
So,
Area. It was some pretty large,
so at some
it
point,
was some large
this is
cousins.
jurisdictional, so it'd be.
It wasn't just-
Where we can all go out and
Um,
see this at some point if there's more questions.
So Mark, what's your recommendation?
Well,
How would you like to move forward on this to resolve?
Well, the letter, was it sent regular mail?
no, was it regular?
Yeah.
I'll send them certified.
Well, I mean, would that be,
Yeah, that'll be the next.
The next step?
Yeah, and send, and I'm gonna try, again, I think I have the engineer, I'm gonna reach out to them as well and say, you know, it appears that you got an issue with stormwater, we gotta talk. And,
Do they don't
yeah, Doug, I'm sorry, if you have any,
Right.
of what?
where would you,
Again-
where do you want it to go?
Again, we need to establish a starting point here, as
Yeah,
far as
I'm
my
sure it was
my
part of
thoughts,
the
my
whole-
opinions, is
Clearing
that
that
we need to
done.
make sure that we're speaking directly to the landowner, the homeowner, whatever the case may be, and then go with a consult on an engineer to seek the
oh,
permission,
again, I was on.
because we don't want a violation of trespass, right? We don't want to get caught up in that, so we need to communicate with the landowner on this.
All right,
And put the burden on them, and we move the way we need to move after we reach that contact, is my feeling.
I'll include in the letter, we'd like access to the site, certified, and then we can get on the property. And if we don't hear back, then we'll take it to the next
step. Yeah.
All right.
Okay, next. 21-day waiver of time, review of matters presented, votes may be taken. So, we are really getting hammered into this office. And the problem is, we have so many days to take. We have so many days that we're required to get this stuff looked at, sent back. So we're trying to, and it's 21 days, correct, Joanne? That is by law. So what we're trying to do is we're trying to have jobs, residents whoever we feel we can't handle this within the 21 days to sign a waiver of time, which then will take a little bit of stress off of this office. And I'm gonna tell you, I've been spending a lot of time in this office trying to help out, and I'm a volunteer. So I know that Joanne's there every day, and the work that goes across her desk is sometimes ridiculous, it really is. And to try to get these dates out is crazy. So what I would like to do is take a vote on this, that the 21-day waiver be asked to these people. Could you please sign this to waive your 21-day right? If they do not sign the waiver, as a commission, we have the right to continue it instead of bringing it forward. So if it comes to us on the board, we can say, well, we're too backed up, we didn't get a good look at it, we're asking this to be continued. But if we can get them to voluntarily do the waiver of time, it's going to actually save us a lot of heartaches. With that being said, I'd like to put a vote on this matter. Go ahead.
So what is it?
It's waiving the 21-day right.
For what, the term?
So if you give us a blueprint and say, okay, this is what I want to go this in front of the commission, we're going to stamp it. The day we receive it, we have 21 days to act on it. Am I correct on that, Joanne? Okay. Correct. So this will waive that 21 days.
All right, I understand what we're trying to accomplish, I'm not against it before. My question is, we as the Conservation Commission have to abstain by mass and federal law. Did you make sure that this would be legal between mass and state federal law?
This is a voluntary signing. They do not have to sign it. It's asking a voluntary, it's not a demand.
Well, then you just said we have the right to continue it, and
we have the right to continue it when it comes before the commission. So if they don't sign this waiver, we have to address it within the 21 days. So then it comes before the board within the 21 days. We can look at that person and say, due to us not having an ample time to look at it, we are going to continue this to the next meeting. So then that means they came to this meeting and we're going to take and send them to the next meeting.
Right.
If they sign the waiver, we can say, hey, listen, we're going to try to get it as soon as we can. We're going to let you know when the agenda is. We're going to put you on as soon as we can. Then it's going to stop them from coming here and getting that continuing. So they might be happier to sign it than to come all the way, because we got people coming from New Hampshire. So what if we have a company coming here from New Hampshire, we didn't get a chance to look at it, and we say, hey, sorry to do this to you, but we didn't have ample time to look at it, we're sorry, we're going to put this on a continuum. We have the right to continue it. It's going to stop. Now, if they sign the waiver, they're going to say, okay, give us a call. It's better than driving all the way from New Hampshire, coming here to be continued. So, in some spots, the waiver is going to benefit us, as well as it can benefit
The
them.
only problem is that 21-day thing is there for a reason. I'm not saying it's a bad idea. I'm
Well,
saying
again,
it's illegal.
it is there to force the commission to
Put it on the agenda.
Right.
And we're not
To complete our
forcing
duties,
it,
but
we're asking them, could you please sign this waiver? So they can say, no, I'm not signing it, I want to go through the 21 days, and we'll say, okay, not a problem. But then, like I said, we do have the right to continue it.
right, so at the meeting.
So this way here, it gives the applicant notice that we might continue it on you if we don't get a chance. If you sign this waiver, we're going to give you a call and let you know exactly when it's going on the agenda, where we can work on this. Some people might sign it, some people not.
So Jim, so Eric, you've seen the office,
I don't think
and it's not just the run-of-the-mill, single-family house. I think we get a lot of stuff come in, and right under the wire to make the agenda, and things that literally need peer review. And my concern, this was, and Joanne can speak to where this idea came from, but we want to give adequate consideration to major projects when that have potential to have stormwater to flood out. We want to make sure that things that need to be reviewed, we have time. This is my impression, not everything, but there's some things that are coming in, these 21-day deadlines, and are rushing us, and I'm not, I just think that we want to try to build in some kind of buffer that we can make sure some projects that need real scrutiny get it. That's, and this is voluntary.
Yeah, and this wasn't something I made up, Eric, this came from, our peer review actually was suggesting that this was probably something I needed to do moving forward. So he's the one who helped me kind of put this together. Behavior uses it, other communities are using this, that I'm aware of, so I kind of made it and adjusted it to us. It's gonna give the applicant more time, it's gonna free me up from running ads from the deadline to the Friday and having them possibly come here, and we're not prepared
Just
to
to be
review everything.
Only to be.
And the other thing is, just so you know, there has been stuff that brought last minute, and some engineers do. Let me give it to the commission, very last minute, where they don't have the time to review it. They have to go by the 21-day law, and this is before that I realized you can continue it. So then we get it, now we're in a rush at looking at stuff, we miss some things, and then things are bad, we issue things that are bad, right? So if we do this and they're willing to sign it, now it slows everything down where we can say, hey, you know something, Mark can't be here on a Tuesday, so now this gives them Wednesday to look at it, or Friday to look at it, or maybe I can't pop in the office on a Wednesday because I got my granddaughter, but I'll just stop looking at it on a Tuesday, right? So it's going to give us a little more buffer time to really look into what they're asking, what the blueprints are, and like I said, now that we also know though we have the right to continue it, I don't think it's fair to someone to continue it that drives all the way from New Hampshire.
Everyone convenes and then only to just be turned around.
What would be on the other end, though, if we decide to do this, what's gonna be the other end? How long could they have to wait?
Well, there ain't a set date, right? So we just ask them to wait the 21 day. It might take us 29
You
days.
can put that in there. The one that I worked from, the template
Yeah.
was 90 days.
Total?
Yeah, I would say 60,
Yeah,
maybe,
that's
but
what I mean, maybe do something like that.
yeah, we can add that in, definitely.
And I'll just add one more thing too. I mean, it rushes our decisions. You all are volunteers, and we send things out. Joanne will send things out, and you get it in massive, you know, you gotta print this stuff out. You have other obligations. You all are on the commission for your expertise, you know, and you should have some time. That's just,
Yeah, I just wanna make sure that we gotta have, for yin as a yang, and for yang as a yin, we need to just have where it's not gonna be like, we just keep putting these projects off.
No,
We gotta be
no.
held under a deadline too.
Please be advised that you'll be notified of this meeting date once this application is resigned to a Conservation Commission meeting agenda. You want to put up to 60 days, up to,
I would like to see it,
Like-
that we still have to be upheld, because especially in construction, you got people trying to make plans, you're trying, not only are you dealing with engineers, you're dealing with contractors, you're dealing with this, you're dealing with that, you're dealing with seasons, you know, if you gotta put, a lot of times we put things in at the winter time so that it's ready come spring, you know, and then the next thing you know, this gets put off, then, you know.
so Eric, do you have a reasonable, in your mind?
Well, it's not, that wouldn't be up to me, whoever
It's a
needs the
good
extra
point.
time, what would be a reasonable time for you? It's not me, I have fine with the 21 days, it
I
doesn't
mean-
bother me.
Ultimately, that could be assessed at the time of presenting the waiver to the applicant.
But then there's nothing that we are getting held bound to.
Again, I said, you could leave it to the discretion of the applicant. You could prepare it so that you come to an agreement with the applicant. Is 45 days sufficient? Is 60 days? As opposed to having
something.
Well, I think we need to be withheld up to a day, so like you were saying.
Chairman, speak. I think that's a great point, having a deadline. And the only issue that I see, Christian, with the variable date, depending on the case,
I mean, you could have a spot, just fill that in as the document was signed.
right.
And filled out.
The only issue with that is we want to be sure that we treat every case the same, even though we know that every case is different. But the procedural piece of it, we want to make sure that we follow that procedure for everything. So if it's going to be 60 days for this case, it should be a maximum of 60 days for that case too. And I'm unsure of whether there is a deadline, so I'm not sure about that.
Well, the template that I was given was
Yeah.
one that was taken from Fairhaven at 90 days. 90
Okay.
days. So I thought that was a little far out.
Right.
I would have suggested 60 days, but the request also has the date it was submitted on.
Yes.
So that would start, that, we could go up to 60 days. I mean, between the chairman and the
Right.
agent determining what that would be along with the applicant.
I would
And then
just,
a rotation, you know, have them all how they came in.
right,
Nobody gets taken out of order.
right,
It stays
right,
on.
first, right.
Right.
I would just caution and just be sure to double check the Mass General law on that. Because as communities, we do make errors, so we don't want to replicate an error that's been happening in another community.
The gentleman that furnished me with this has served on many commissions
Okay,
and has actually taught classes at MACC
okay,
on these
so,
things, so I feel pretty confident, but we
Good.
definitely double check,
okay.
and that's why it's here before them tonight.
That would be my only
So
recommendation.
with that being said, why don't we put a 60-day deadline?
And this would apply to stormwater and the Wetlands Protection Act.
We don't have to do this right now, right? What if we do our diligence a little better, check Mass General law, come up with a good time era that works best for you, and then have it totally ready, and then we approve the final document.
It's that we, as Jimmy knows today, we got 4 notices of intents coming in on the horizon. And I've
Well,
got,
we should have never stopped doing 2 weeks, two meetings and stuff a week. We now are down to 1, it's,
Well, that's your opinion.
I don't,
That's your opinion. I don't share that opinion.
okay. I'm just stating that.
This is a voluntary position.
So we can, I will look into Mass General laws, and if I have any questions, maybe I can talk to you.
Of course.
So just to confirm, I believe this is from a reputable person, they're using it for Fairhaven, but let's just trust but verify. I don't know if having an outer, we can't take more than this amount of time, and again, we don't have to decide now, but maybe it's this is the maximum of time that the commission can take, applicants could take less, you know, I don't know, we could.
You just gotta watch the game, and next thing you know, you got one guy saying 50, one guy says 60, one guy
Well,
says
so
70,
I
and they all
agree
get all
with you.
confused, and it's like, hey, what did Frank have on his?
No, Eric, I agree with you, we set a dead date, right? So let's just say we go with the 60 days, I think we should try to put this together today and then look into the mass law so we can pick it up. Because if we can, I want to use it for the next 4 that are coming in.
Right.
So what I said,
I understand that, but we can't use it until it's verified by Mass General law.
well, we can vote on it tonight.
We can do that
I've
going
got the
forward.
general
We
law,
can't
you
do
have
that,
to
we
write
can't
on
do
the
that.
paper if you want.
I'd like to make a motion to accept that based upon the confirmation that moving forward, we're not in litigation or legality with MACC or any other agency by endorsing it and following this, what we're about to implement
And then they have the.
With the 60 days.
with the 60 days
With the 60, that work good for you guys? 60?
deadline, 60-day deadline.
And I'm not saying we're gonna use 60 days, but
No, I'm not either, but
between the chairman and the agent and myself, with the deadlines that we have in front of us, we see what comes in, we communicate with them. It's only fair to, you know, to
And it's
get this
and
signed.
for the
I mean,
people,
I've
too.
gotten,
Jimmy, I made a motion.
I know, and I was just gonna say, I have a motion,
Yeah, I'll second.
I have a second.
Yep.
So, do I have votes? Heidi?
Aye.
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 Aye. right, so we can write right on it, 60 days, just so we know it, that we have it there, and going forward. Joanne, is there anything to sign?
Nothing, no business.
Okay, now, let me go to this. The next meeting of the Conservation Commission will be on April 23rd, 2025, meeting to be held at the police station conference room located at 64 Middle Road, Acushnet, Massachusetts. With that being said, can I get a motion to adjourn this meeting?
Motion to adjourn.
Second?
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. Meeting adjourned.